I first started dreaming up this exhibit while I was in San Salvador Huixcolotla in Mexico. I'd won the Baltimore City Artist Travel Prize, and after spending a bit of time with the artist Blanca Amezcua in New York, I'd earned her seal of approval. She connected me to the master artisan who taught her to make papel picado with a hammer and chisels, Don René Mendoza. I took a bus from Pueblo to week school, which left me on the side of a highway waiting for a VW bus which would supposedly, and eventually did, take me to the town center for just a few pesos. I seriously questioned what I was getting myself into when I was given these directions, but that brief wait on the side of the highway was truly a transformative moment for me. I was in the middle of nowhere, I had no self-service, and I was just hoping I could get into a random VW and find a man I'd never actually met before. Weeks later, while chatting with some Americans I met in Mexico City, they praised my bravery. They couldn't believe that I'd actually come to Mexico alone, and that, in their eyes, I'd hitchhiked. When I eventually returned home, I was flooded with questions by friends and family. Why didn't I just go to Europe? It would have been so much safer. Did I really get a tattoo? In Mexico? That can't be sanitary. I was taken aback by their ignorance. It seemed like so many of the people closest to me were envisioning a Hollywood version of Mexico, where everyone was wearing ponchos, in a gang, poor, and desperate to come to the US. While that was surprising coming from people I knew well, I've always known that these stereotypes exist. What I wasn't prepared for were the stereotypes people in week school had made about Americans. I was fully caught off guard when a man who had been sitting silently next to me turned his head and said, "Is it really illegal to hit your dog in America?" During my time in week school, I was also asked what the tallest building is, if Americans eat salsa, and if there are stores that sell hammers here. I couldn't imagine where some of these questions were coming from. I also suspected someone had started a rumor that Americans can't eat spicy food. I began noticing people watching me eat everywhere I went. I appreciated their concern, but I can handle my spice. My personal favorite was the day Don René Mendoza discovered that I don't hang papel picado for the holidays. With a shocked look on his face, he said, "So you just don't have celebrations?" Clearly, there are a lot of us getting things wrong on both sides of the border. I love a fresh tortilla out of the comal, but I'm also not ashamed to say that I lived off Chipotle in grad school, and I used to count down till November when Mad Max would offer the glorious Goblerito once again. There is something truly beautiful about sitting at the communal tables at South Philly Barbacoa and sharing a family-style order of tacos with friends. But it was also pretty magical when I would stumble into Taco Bell with my college besties after a night of drinking. Based on the stories shared with me at the opening reception of this exhibit, many of you had your own magical nights at Taco Bell, or maybe El Azteca. Oh, the joys of being young. I sat alone in my hotel room one night covered in concha crumbs and chatting with my husband, who gently suggested that I didn't need to eat dessert every day of my trip. But how was I supposed to resist the call of the churro vendor riding his bicycle past my window? Or the woman who would tap the windows as she walked by to let everyone know she was out front with her cooler of ice cream? Don René was also shocked to learn that you cannot just go door to door selling food in the US. I tried to explain that there's a whole health code situation, to which he responded, "I've never gotten sick from the ice cream." I never got sick from the ice cream there either. I loved the experience of eating a McLeo burger con todo in La Plaza. A burger that involved copious amounts of mayo, lettuce, tomato, fresh jalapenos, ketchup, mustard, bacon, ham. Yes, the ingredients list is still going. Pineapple, American cheese, and queso Oaxaca. It really was an experience. It was not a good old American cheeseburger. It was something else. It wasn't authentic, and that's more than okay. It was delightfully inauthentic. Huixco is such a small town that after just a few days, everyone knew I was the American who had come to stay with Don René. When I walked into the stationery store, the man behind the counter said, "Ah, la Americana. I was wondering if you'd come in." And then he proceeded to ask me a million questions. As you look at paper cuts like Fresh Kicks, which depicts a Pueblo sneaker shop called Chicago Tennis, or Esther's tortas, ask yourself questions about whatever comes up for you. Are you envisioning an episode of Narcos? Are you reminiscing about your last taquito? Maybe you're remembering a trip to Cancun or when you visited Teotihuacan. Wherever your mind goes, ask yourself why it went there, and just assume you're getting a few things wrong. We all are. Then look at pieces like Urban Planning or Tokyo Tuesdays, and remember that we're getting some things just right. Although Tokyo Tuesday is based on a photo I took in Tokyo, I couldn't help but include it in this exhibit. As I looked for a place to hide from the rain, I started skipping when I saw this spot. Mexican beef, Casa Tequila, that's speaking my language. The chisme captures the catch-up/gossip session I had with my friend Mindy over my go-to order of cochinita pibil. I'm a sucker for anything in a banana leaf. And more than any other piece in this collection, Meet Your Match is the one I find myself coming back to over and over again. There are tons of street vendors in Coyoacán, and they all smell delicious. Days after I took this photo, the photo this piece is based on, I realized that the gentleman in the center was not at all happy about me taking his picture. Sorry, sir, I changed your face so that you'd be unrecognizable. But that made me wonder what else I'd missed. Most of the hammered papel picado in this exhibit is based on traditional designs, but pieces like my shredded basketball hoops are my own contemporary spin on things. I'd overheard some tourists going on and on about how much Mexicans just love soccer. I also overheard their tour guide interrupting them to let them know that, in his words, not mine, no one cares about soccer. He then gave a passionate speech about why basketball is the ultimate sport. Ain't Always Greener is one of the first pieces I decided to include in this collection. I've never eaten at Rincón Mexicano, but I knew I would cut it the moment I saw the man seated on the bench. He was clearly Latino, and I wondered if he had ever been inside. I wondered if he was Mexican. I wondered what he thought of food. I wondered if he thought it was the real deal. I was left with a million questions about a man I don't know and tacos I'd never eaten. But in that imagining, I opened myself up to all of the possibilities.